Hello there everybody, and a very warm welcome to AEC Tier S, and it is with pleasure that I welcome you to round 2 of the season here in China. Now we of course do have a lot to talk about before we get going this evening. Obviously we like to have a few minutes before we get into the lobby to sort of discuss what's been going on, but first of all I have a very special guest with me this evening. Stepped in when nobody else could. Well, there were a few options, all of them from FRT, but it's a huge warm welcome to FRT Chelsea. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing all right, to be fair. This is getting me away from revision before back to school, so there's worse places to be. It's going to be a good race, I hope. So yeah, I'm quite happy to be here, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do like having a quite skilled driver alongside me. Obviously, I had Harv for Silverstone, and now yourself joining me for China. What might we expect from a circuit like this? I know that it's not easy, maybe a little bit more favourable than games gone by, but certainly with some of the difficult corners, how would that sort of be a challenge?
Well, the thing about China is that it's really hard on the tyres. It's a tyre killer. So strategies potentially, at some circuits you may see teams going for a soft medium, and I just don't think that's really an option here. It just doesn't work. So strategy will be very one-dimensional, barring potentially any rain, safety cars, etc., etc., which hopefully we'll get, because who doesn't love a little bit of chaos? But yeah, there's obviously a massive DRS straight, which will be the main place for overtaking, and so moves into the hairpin will be fairly common. Hopefully all clean as well. And yeah, I think we have all the ingredients for a pretty good race.
Yeah, I agree with you. You mentioned the DRS straight, 1.2 kilometres in length. But I did want to talk about NRX, as you will know very well. They did close their doors for the second time at the weekend, and thus a lot of movement has gone on, mainly BRT and Parnell Racing picking up a lot of the drivers who are forced to find a new home. You'll have very fond memories of NRX from their couple of stints now on Xbox. How big of a miss are they, and but simultaneously how wide does that blow the championship race open?
Well, of course, it means we've lost our defending champions, which is never ideal. But yeah, they're a huge team with a lot of very, very quick drivers that have now found pastures anew to refresh their talents. And best of luck to all of them. BRT and Parnell are obviously the biggest winners. It's particularly Parnell who've picked up pretty big names in Furious, M Racer, etc. They're all very, very quick drivers that will boost their roster no end. And for that reason, I can see Parnell potentially being an outside shot to the championship. Don't quote me on that, because I could be wrong. But yeah, that I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen at all. And BRT have obviously added a lot of depth to their roster, which I think they did probably need. So they're looking in a much stronger place. So yeah, when one door closes for NRX, another opens for a few other teams, and it also, of course, lets SLR back onto the grid, which will be a huge opportunity for them to prove that their upcoming talent has what it takes to compete at the highest level.
Now, I've put the NRX roster on the screen because obviously everybody here forced to find a new home. Ogween also going over to Novus, NVR, of course. So that's a great acquisition for them. They have made their emergency transfer, if I'm correct. Yeah, they got rid of Nico, who of course left the team, to bring in Ogween. So obviously looking at this roster, it now looks very strange to see those drivers there, the likes of Lagrif, Finn, and also Jack Taylor making their way to BRT as well. But the bulk of the transfers will be in the transfer window, obviously, when we get there after round 7. Let's take a look at the calendar, actually, and of course this is round 2, the Chinese Grand Prix. We head to Australia next week. I don't know how really to feel about that one, but the first half of the season, a few more European tracks in there, and of course Monaco to finish it off.
Yeah, Monaco, that is a a race that I will be certainly looking forward to because it will just be complete and utter carnage. That I'm a big fan of that run of races actually because Britain always provides good racing as it proved in World yesterday. Don't ask me how my race went though. Hungary is a very strategic track because the tyre wear again is very high. Austria, DRS for days, plenty of overtakes. It's always good fun. And then we finish with the carnage of Monaco. So this run of races really is quite special, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, I don't think we'll have any idea who's going to be favourites going into that second half. Again, considering the the array of drivers that have been making moves at the moment as well. It is NVR top of the tree at the moment with 49 points. Liam Bowman and Drobble racing tonight in an unchanged lineup. PSR are the inheritance basically of P2, but they sit third in the championship after round one. I do actually have the standings available, so I will show them on the screen right now. Confirmation of NVR's lead. Just how good were they in round one, and do you think they can carry that momentum going forward?
Well, I think they have a very, very strong roster. They are definitely in my top three of rosters on the game. They've got very strong drivers, good engineers, strong management. They are just an all-round powerhouse. And in a competition where PSR perhaps won't use their strongest lineups of perhaps a Kai and a Sav, well, I don't even think Sav's on their roster, but where PSR won't use their strongest lineup, that could provide an opportunity for your NVRs, your Parnells to potentially steal in and claim the championship. But we'll have to see because it's still very early days. It's round two. And if NVR can come out of tonight with a lead of any description, I think they can be pretty pleased with it.
Yeah, absolutely. PSR are also unchanged using Arch and Placky. Placky does like to go long, maybe try a different strategy. So, you know, it's just forward-thinking drivers like Placky that can very easily do as good as a job as maybe some of the stronger drivers that they might not typically use in AEC. Anyway, we are now in qualifying. Sorry for the 4-minute hold-up on our end, but I can confirm if we flick on over now to the gameplay, we've got some sunny skies here in Shanghai, and I'm going to throw it out there because you mentioned it before we started. ESV Bobberts of Team Shazoo. What a lap he put on Twitter.com with a 29.5. That is outstanding. Oh, I've got the face cam on! Oh my god! I didn't even realise. Sorry guys. I'm just...
Dear me.
No, I didn't mean it, guys. I didn't mean it. I promise. Oh, that's so embarrassing. Oh, I've done that twice. Right, let's go back to Bobberts. Let's go back to Bobberts.
Please.
Can he put it on pole?
Well, based on the evidence of that Twitter lap that I saw, absolutely he's got to be one of the favourites, which I did not expect to be saying, mainly because I didn't expect to be commentating. But yeah, he's just... That lap is sensational. I think we compared it earlier to Mubarak's pole time in NRC, which was with Q3 grip, and short quali has less grip than a Q3 session. So that lap really is something special, and it'll be interesting to see if Bobberts can replicate it here. I mean, a direct time-for-time comparison probably isn't realistic, but even within a tenth, it's surely got to put him in contention for pole.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, we've also got some names you know very well in FRT. Harvey finished P2 here last season, unchanged lineup for FRT, the only team that are actually unchanged from last season when it comes to the Chinese Grand Prix. So, you know, just how much work has been going on behind the scenes to get Harvey ready for this race, because I know he loves this track.
He does love this track, and this is a big race for Harv, to be honest, because he's kind of stunk the first few races that he's done on this game. So, but this is this has been bigged up to be his big break. This could be his chance to snag a decent result, and I think everyone would like to see it because Harv's a lovely person. So yeah, a strong. I think he'll probably be looking for a top 6, top 5, and he can be fairly happy if he does manage to achieve that. But Finn Bob, now the first driver about to start a lap.
He is indeed, and round in the final corner at turn 16, we'll open up the DRS and begin here. And, well, this is a Very annoying part of the circuit. I had a league race here last night, and there was somebody on my lap parked at the Turn 1 apex, so it can be a hot spot for some impeding. Just an update on the PR Lucas infringement from last week. Lucas was guilty of blocking another driver in qualifying, but due to Ross Greenhorn's generational mistake of getting the grid wrong, or on his side, Lucas pressed spectator and he didn't reset him back up the order. They don't have to serve a qualifying ban today, but they were given the 1 penalty point for impeding. You don't want too many of those over the season. You're not going to get away with it every week. So, you know, this is a track where you've got to be hyper aware.
Yes, it is. There's so many little fiddly blind corners that are just impossible to pull out of the way on. And here we are, BRT are already, even on their bankers, lining up a slipstream. Lou has pretty much nailed that, I'd say, judging from the T-cam. So Finn Bob is going to be gaining at least 10th and a half, 2 tenths, possibly even more down this straight, topping out at well over 330 kph.
Heavy braking then after the 100-metre board, and he'll stick in third gear, ever so slightly wide of the apex, just those little increments of time. But he'll certainly be looking to build on this banker lap as he rounds the final corner to set the benchmark for this evening's session. It's a 1 minute 30.828. Certainly a long way to go when it comes to the lap times that we can achieve round here. Drobble crosses the line. The P4 man from last week who's been in fine form for NVR. And now Bobberts crosses the line and he set a 30.0, which is a very, very respectable banker.
Yes, it is. I was impressed by Drobble going over half a second clear of Finn Bob as Moose slots in third. Very good effort there from the ETE driver. I was impressed by Drobble being half a second clear of Finn Bob, and then Bobberts dunked 3 tenths on his head. That's a mammoth banker from Bobberts, and I think that early prediction of him being a shot for pole isn't looking too bad right now.
Absolutely, still got more cars coming around the final corner. PR Lucas will be up next. He's received a slipstream from his teammate PR Jack L, who's been dealing with some throttle issues, but has now got those sorted to be able to be back tonight. Lucas invalidated at the final corner. It was a 30.3 for him. Elite risks for Team Shizou welcomes back his former team tonight, SLRT, who have Rigsy and Midzy. I'm not too familiar with those two. I've never spoken a word about them, so I'm not going to comment on how they do, and I'm going to let their talking on the racetrack do it, because ETE came in late last week and they got 2 points. So, you know, I think SLRT will be up for this one.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Of course, the late additions, they've missed a round worth of points, as Arch went 9th quickest on a truly horrid banker. I'm not sure which of the where'd he go? Oh, he went second on a 30.1. That's a strong banker from BRT Lou, of course, transferred from AERT, so it's a big move, and he seems to be holding his own. I've seen him competing in a lot of tournaments for them, so they clearly have trust in him, and he's repaying that faith by sticking it provisionally third quickest, as Bowman splits him and Bobberts with a 30.0 of his own.
Yeah, he does indeed. The round 1 race winner became the third no assists tournament winner for NVR. Well, I should say the third race win of all time, I do believe. And then Rev got the 4th on Saturday in Big Twos. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Midzy crosses the line. It's a 30.8 for the SLRT debutant, the team that finished 7th in last season's championship. And of course, the reigning Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams champions as well. So I think if there was any team to be I wouldn't say like-for-like replacement for NRX, but you know, certainly very much deserving of their place on the AEC Tier S grid. We've got Arch trundling down the back straight. 31-1 for him. Clearly a mistake or two in there. But Shizou, 1st and 4th, they often haven't had the best of starts 2 seasons. They were certainly in and around the bottom few teams last season as well. So this is exactly what they need.
It is, and I think what's really telling here is that most teams have their drivers very, very close to each other, with the exception of BRT, with their drivers 3rd and 16th. PSR obviously have a big split with 8th and 18th. But some teams, like for example Shizou, 1st and 4th, FRT 5th and 9th, they're all very close together, which suggests that this race might be dictated by how good their setups are.
Absolutely. Shizou, by this point last season, after Bahrain, round 1, they didn't score. China round 2, they were deducted 5 points. So I think anything that's in the positives would be an improvement. If they got -4 tonight, they would still be up on last season. Jack's throttle is reportedly broken again, according to Caesar. Let's have a look as he, I think, is out of fuel down the back straight. So this isn't directly linked to his throttle, but yeah, spent a lot of time getting that issue fixed.
Yeah,
And look on the exit the corner, the telemetry.
Yeah, his throttle input wasn't like progressive there. It kept flicking backwards and forwards. So yeah, there is some form of issue with that, which is of course gutting for Parnell, because he is probably at the moment on their current roster their star man, and he's probably not going to be able to compete at any sort of decent level tonight because of factors outside of his control, which is always very disappointing. He pulls up into the pit lane, and that could be the best lap time he'll do of a 31.6, which is bitterly disappointing for Parnell, who need to kick on with their season.
It could be a complete withdrawal. PR bottom 2 at the moment, if I'm right in saying they're being engineered by Caesar and Zach tonight. So a double, well, a driver for an engineer for each driver, I should say. So Parnell's certainly not messing about in terms of, you know, just making sure their drivers are well informed. But unfortunately, on a night like tonight, where you're already having some reoccurring issues, it might not go to plan. ESV Bobberts is going to be, I think, the second driver around here, as Drobble, the Danish driver, has just started his flying lap. He's going to get some traffic in the first corner, but the driver's proactive in moving out of the way. That's good, but that is one of the risks of taking that earlier second run.
It is, and I think that will be strategic from MVR to put him out at that time. Cobb and Nathan, no slouches when it comes to engineering, so they will know what they're doing as Drobble crosses the timing beam. 23.7 first sector is fairly competitive. They'll have probably wanted to be maybe half a tenth quicker as he now rounds into the fast sweepers of China, which are my favourite corners on this track, because you really just don't have to worry about where you put the car. You can just throw it in, downshift to 5th gear through this sweeper, and now into the double left-hander, which you take in 3rd, and then upshift to 4th early. Oh, little bit of oversteer on the exit there. That could have cost Drobble time. We'll see as he cuts the beam for the second sector. He's still a tenth and a half up, so he clearly found more time there somewhere. That didn't look perfect, and I think I can see a wild Liam Bowman. Yeah, there he is, ready to give a slipstream. Exactly what MVR need. He's slightly further ahead, possibly, than he might want to be. Closer slipstreams are always more beneficial, but Drobble's still going to get a healthy tow all the way down the straight. Running slightly less top speed, I think, than BRT, because it took him a lot longer to reach 330 k's down into the hairpin. 3rd gear, no 2nd gear, like I have seen some drivers use. Now he's only got the final corner to navigate, and that looked like a fairly solid lap from the Danish driver.
Oh, no,
dear, no, it
no!
isn't.
Oh, the commentator's curse on debut from FRT Chelsea.
Been it for 10 minutes. I'm so sorry, Drobble.
Oh dear. ESV Bobberts, though, is the next driver to cross line. He's getting a bit of a distant slipstream as he rounds the final corner, and he goes ever so slightly quicker, extending his advantage then at the top of the timesheet. We've got FRT Harvey now rounding the final corner, 200ths down in Sector 2. How's it looking in Sector 3? And he does find a little bit of time, but it's not enough to advance on P5 at the moment. Elite Risks at turn number 3 at the moment. Liam Bowman, 0.08 of a second up in the first sector. A huge improvement from the NVR driver. His teammate did make a very similar improvement, but ended up spinning at the final corner. We've got a Mercedes as the next car to cross the line. It will be PSR Arch, who's heading into the hairpin now at turn 14. 3rd gear once again brings you into the classified corner, turn 15, and then the proper final corner is here. Turn
Bowman.
16 will turn in. What's happened to Bowman?
Nothing's happened to him. He's 2 tenths up on his time. This is looking like a very early contender for possibly pole, but of course he will not get the benefit of slipstream because Drobble crashed. So that's again the ripple effect of commentator's curse. So deepest apologies. Lucas goes up to 6th. Bowman is heading towards the hairpin, brakes at 100, down to 3rd. No use of 2nd again. That looked like a decent exit. Little bit of oversteer, but you want a little bit of oversteer in a car, to be honest, I find. Oh, and he's bailed. The lack of slipstream clearly was very detrimental, that he thought, you know what, I'm not even bothering with it.
I don't blame him, because that would probably be 2-3 tenths perhaps. Such is the effect on this year's game. We have Elite Risks up in third, by the way. It says Shazoo 1-3. For the first time in a long time, I've been able to say that about such a historic team when it comes to console esports. It is very good to be able to say that once again. PSR Placky up into P7 now. Arch still down in 17th. Perhaps a lack of practice. I'm not too sure on the current situation with all of the teams at the moment. If I had a spy camera in every single lobby, then I would. But it's hard to really make too many judgments.
Yeah, I'm just on board with PR Jack. He is on his lap, and while he was pushing, you could still see that throttle fluctuation clearly playing a part and not allowing him to go particularly quickly. He's getting a good slipstream off of Jack, but I doubt this will even cut the beam as lower than the 31, to be honest, which is bitterly disappointing because he's much better than that. Oh, huge oversteer on the exit. That lap's finished with. Yeah, this is really disappointing for Parnell because this isn't something they can control, and I think he is now destined for a P20 start and possibly even an early retirement because there is just very little point in carrying on when there's issues like this happening.
Yeah, I believe it was a full attempt at a fix, so to have that issue, like I said, it's not good because it means a longer lasting issue, maybe a full replacement, a lot of money for pedals. Let's not kid ourselves about the financial investment that drivers feel they have to make to be competitive. But can we just appreciate our top 5 at the moment? 50 quid to controllers.
Yeah, this is renowned as a pad track. It always has been. Yeah, Bobberts, Bowman and Harv. I don't know about the other two, but they are definitely pad drivers, and they're showing some prodigious pace. Harv actually on the same time as Lucas, ironically another pad driver. So essentially, don't go spending money on wheels if you want to drive at China. I think that's the message we're being told here.
Lucas has bought a Fanatec, hasn't he, now? But he's still on pads.
That, yeah,
he's still on pad for the time being. I did forget to mention Lucas, so my apologies on that one. First car around, ladies and gentlemen, is I believe Finn Bob with 3 minutes left to go in this session. Make sure you get your poll predictions in the live chat because this is a very close session at the moment. Pad and wheel very much competitive, so I think you can see pretty much anybody having a real go at this. But an ESV Bobbert's pole position, by far the oldest driver on the grid, I think. I need to fact check that one. Sorry, that's a bit harsh.
That's harsh.
It is harsh, but we do have a lot of children.
Yeah, just give some respect to the second best Adam on the game, I say, as Finn Bob starts his final run.
He does. Round in the final corner for Finn Bob, who opened us this evening. We'll now open our final laps as well. Bobbert's oldest from Harv. I want to say Placky's second oldest. I feel he's like 23. I'm not going to guess people's ages. That is quite rude to do that. But I feel like Placky's second, and then I don't know how old the SLR drivers are, so I won't be commenting on that one. Findiyum as well. He's older. Okay, well, let's not go down the route of ages, but Finn Bob has found a 10th in the first sector, has avoided some of the traffic as well, so to find that margin, a really encouraging start.
Yeah, it's an improvement for sure, but a 0.8 isn't really that competitive. Perhaps he's got a lower downforce setup on to be competitive in the race and down the straights, which is why in the fiddlier bits he struggled a bit. But yeah, he cuts the beam with a 51 dead, which again isn't especially competitive. This is looking like potentially a 0.3 or a 0.4 if he hooks up the final, which would still put him around P7, P8 sort of placky drobble range, which wouldn't be a bad effort for him at all, but perhaps not what BRT were looking for, as they are one of the fastest emerging teams, of course qualified fastest in the world, and want to do the best that they can. We'll see what Finn Bob can muster here.
Yeah, indeed, as Lou darts out of the way before the heavy braking zone of turn 14, wheels it around does Finn Bob, and he's got a clear track from now up until the start-finish line. We will see how far he can get that Alfa Romeo up the order. P5 in the championship, our Bunker Racing team. Finn Bob goes 12th, just a thousandth quicker at the moment than Riggsy for SLRT. Next car to cross the line, unsure at this stage, as we've got a lot of outlaps in and amongst the fields. But we've got FRT Harvey, who's certainly on a flying lap because his teammate has just darted out of the way. Following a slipstream, Drobble has crossed the line and gone 5th. Following that spin on the previous lap, he's managed to hook a lap together. Half up to the line then. Can he get into the 30.2s? Yes, he can, but stays 6th at the moment. Harv just making those small improvements, but it's not telling for pole position at the moment.
Yeah, he was 0.19 of a second up. He was well up on his time, and he just slightly lost it in the final sector. A small half bot, but I think he can be relatively content with P6 if it stays that way. There's a Ferrari coming up to the line, that's Easton. And then the 2 SLR drivers are following of Riggsy. Riggsy's finished, and he invalidated, unfortunately. Next across the line is a Red Bull. Is that Jack? No, that'll be Lucas. And he's 0.19 of a second up again. 50.6 middle split is very competitive. Could this be an outside Parnell pole? Potentially? Alliteration. Parnell possibly, potentially.
Parnell
Anyway, Lucas, here he comes, round the final corner. Oh, a little bit of grass on the end and very wide on the exit. Is this pole? No, not quite. Again, just like Harv, he lost it in the final sector, but he did beat Harv after setting the same time as him earlier. Who else is to cross the line? That's a BRT driver of Lou.
Invalid.
Yeah, invalid, unfortunately. Followed by an Alpine of, that's got to be Findium, and he's pitted. There's a Haas pitting, so it's the NVR duo next. It's going to be Bowman, who, for me, was my pick for pole. Let's see what he can muster here. Round the final corner, up to the line. Will he cut the beam under 1 minute 30?
Wow.
Yes! Oh, crikey!
That's
Fair
outstanding.
enough,
Oh, Elite risks wide. Sorry to butt in there. Very wide out of the final corner. Would have been a 29.9. Perhaps lost a little bit of time. PSR Placky has gone 3rd at the death here. Moo Milk we're still waiting on, but he's making no improvement at the moment. FRT Rain has crossed the line and gone 11th. Midzi has already completed his lap. It'll be CRF1 Eastern for ETE. Goes 11th. Just behind his teammate. ETE with a brilliant mid sort of pack start there, which was perhaps beyond what they were expecting in front of FRT, BRT, FGE drivers, and indeed a PSR driver in Arch as well, who got absolutely nowhere in this qualifying session. Liam Bowman, brilliant teamwork from everyone at MVR.
Yeah, he is just the man on this game at the moment, isn't he? Just unbelievably fast, and that lap seemed to come out of nowhere, but I mean, given his talent, I don't think we should have been expecting anything else. 3/10 clear of Bobberts. Kudos to Bobberts, by the way, because that was his banker, I think, unless he made a small improvement somewhere.
Small improvement, yeah.
Small improvement, yeah. That's still that's a very competitive time, and it's been blown out of the water by Bowman, who's surely the favourite for the race now. Nearly 3/10. You just don't see that kind of gap, like, normally. But Bowman has absolutely destroyed the field with a blistering lap. I'll have to have a look at the sectors on that. Yeah, 0.5 first is where he made the difference. That's a very, very strong sector.
He's been outstanding in that first sector, and I think that will be important when it comes to the race as well. Just clearing those drivers that are hot on your tail, trying to stick with you with the DRS. Nearly 3/10 of a second he gets pole position by. And NVR, the top team in the championship, have pole once again. Shizou 2 and 4, PSR splitting the 2. That is qualifying over. Ladies and gentlemen, let's roll the intro. Following the closure of NRX, round 2 of the Artemis Esports Championship kickstarts a new era of the tournament, spearheaded by the race to crown an all-new team's champion. It may only be round 2, but welcome along to Shanghai, China, a venue dating back to 2004. The circuit then, at a length of 5.4 kilometres, has 9 right-handers and 7 left-handers, which were designed in such a way to resemble the Chinese symbol Shang, which means upwards in English. With two 270-degree sections and 54% of the laps spent at full throttle, racing will not be a rarity.
Yep. It's a Tilkodrome, all right, and it's a very, very solid track. Lots of overtaking opportunities and lots of technical sections that are really meant to test the driver. So this is a driver's track, and Bowman clearly, after qualifying, the best driver of the lot over 1 lap.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it being a Tilkodrome, one of his better ones, some may argue. It was the most expensive F1 circuit ever built before Abu Dhabi came along. Pretty much $6 billion more. So, yeah, the facilities are very good, but have been bettered a lot in recent years as well. Do make sure you get your race-winning predictions in, or indeed your podium predictions. Hard to look past Bowman once again, but it's not often you see a driver win 2 in a row, so, you know, statistically we're looking elsewhere.
Well, yeah, statistically, but honestly, stats, China, like, the form book goes out of the window when it comes to China races if there's just even a hint of safety cars and madness like that. Fresher tyres, so, for example, if someone pitted behind the leaders onto a fresh set of mediums in the first stint, that gives them 2-3 seconds a lap of pace, which can completely upturn the race. So if it's a boring race where hard medium strategies play out as you'd expect them to, it's really hard to look past Bowman. But if there's any sort of chaos, you could be looking at anyone. Perhaps even an ETE 1-2. Wouldn't that be something magical?
We will be there. We will be there. We will be there. GSR James has redeemed a request of fact. Did you know that the turns 1, 8 and 14 sunk before the 2011 race? They had to rapidly fix that, and they had to resolve the problem. But anyway, time to resolve tonight's problem. Just who will win the Chinese Grand Prix? All 5 lights on ahead of the drivers, and they're out, and we're underway. And Liam Bowman from pole position, just as he was last week, will get us underway. And it was a brilliant start. He pulls well clear of ESV Bobberts, and an excellent start from Elite Risks, who's challenging the PSR driver of Placky through turn number 2 now. He's still holding the inside. It will turn into the outside for turn 3, which cuts back on all the drivers to race towards the end of sector 1. Bowman's lost it. Bowman's lost it. He's lost the lead as well. Very rare you see a mistake like that on lap 1, but ESV Bobberts takes the lead by the time we get to turn 6. Placky would dearly love to go around the outside, but he's not got much room out there. Bowman did well to defend, and he's still in the hunt.
Yeah, Elite Risk jumps up to 3rd ahead of Placky, who got run out wide there by Bowman, so I'm sure Oliver Crisp will be right on that in the reports, because that did look a little bit rude. Zinity up to 5th, a cracking start. Lou 6th. Oh, there's a spinner. Oh dear, it's FRT Harvey. That's really disappointing. And also another spinner that I noticed was Easton on the first lap, got shoved out well wide on the exit of turn 1. And he's now looking to get back past Rain. It's a terrible start for FRT, because Rain's fallen down a few places too. 4th in the standings, not for much longer if we carry on this performance. Jack, of course, at the back, I think it is just going to have to be a retirement for him. His pedal seems to be unfixable. And Lucas and Lou now going side by side down the main street into the penultimate hairpin. Zinity holds 5th. Yeah, Lou is, but he's lost a couple of places off the start. Lucas is going to slot into 6th, and I think that is our lap 1. Oh, no, it isn't. There's an FGE and an SLR car going very, very close. That's an AlphaTauri off into the pit lane, perhaps with damage, and that is Tria ahead of Rizzi for 13th and 14th.
Rain is into the pit lane. I'm told by Balera Fox that he's hit half. Of all people to hit your teammate.
Honestly.
Oh,
right.
Tits are up. You're not welcome back after this. I think FRT are going to be withdrawing your commentary contract and be drafting you in next week.
That's fine, I'm off to MBR anyway. But anyway. Yeah, Bobberts is 3/10 clear of Bowman out in front, who will be looking to make amends for that poor... you don't see mistakes from that from Bowman. That is very unusual. So yeah, now it's kind of a recovery job to try and get back into first. But this is a perfect position for Shazoo. Jesus, Bobbitt's got very loose. I mean, it just seems to be a case of who can bottle the race quickest at the moment.
It does indeed. I mean, Bowman still in the second place position. I will get that ERS up on the screen. Drivers do like to be second around here, just having someone to follow. You know, you're really running someone else's race instead of your own, and then you'll have that opportunity to go on and make the move. He's going for it on lap 2. No DRS, no problem for Liam Bowman, who retakes the lead, of which he started and lasted for about 3 corners into the race. A little bit of a rear lock-up just to help the rear slide into the corner. Doesn't do the rear tyres a whole lot of good, as Drobble, the other NVR driver, has cleared Finbob momentarily. Finbob's had a brilliant start to this race. He'll back out on the inside, as you see many drivers do. Arch has also had a sensational start. He's up 8 positions, the most of anybody, and it could soon be 9 as he pulls to the inside of Finbob, but he's not quite got the overspeed, not willing to use too much ERS either. He's all over that inside curb at turn 1. It does run him out a little bit wide. Has he cleared the Alfa Romeo driver? Yes, he has. PR Jackel, unsurprisingly though, becoming the first retirement.
Yeah, that's disappointing, but you could see it coming a mile off. That was just clearly an unresolvable issue. Oh, wow, lunge from Halo onto Finbob for 10. That's a great move. It caught me by surprise. That's moving FGE up the order nicely.
Yeah, brilliant move there on the medium tyres. Both FGE drivers. It's, you know, not too often you see both drivers sort of doing the unorthodox strategy. Usually you might see a split or something like that, but no, full send on the medium tyres. Arch did start like P17. He's up 9 positions to 9th, so this is going quite well for PSR. Excuse me, they needed a recovery, and they're getting it so far. ESV Bobbitt's now in the DRS. Elite Risks also 90% on the ERS. No sign of much usage. Placky in P4. TTM Zinity in P5. What a start he's had, run slightly wide at the hairpin.
Oh dear!
Oh God.
No. Well, it seems to be a race for teammate collisions because the 2 FGE drivers have just hit each other. One of them was going for a move on Finbob into the hairpin, and they've collided, and they're now down to 11th and 13th, which is very unfortunate. But Triarch gets the move back done instantly, but I think Halo will have a few words to say about that.
Yeah, I think he might. Can we just not hit each other, guys? I mean, it's fun, but we don't get any stewards inquiries, because why would you report your teammate? It's less work for the stewards. They need the work. But here comes Easton. So he could go try and round the outside at turn 6 on Findium. No, he isn't. Well, he tried to make the cutback, but hasn't been able to get the move done. Reigns into the pit lane again. This is a horror show.
Yeah, this really isn't. I mean, Harv's made up a place on Midsea up to 17th, which I'm sure isn't what he expected from this race. But as you talked about Easton making moves for ETE, Moo made one himself on Finbob up to 11th. This has been a very competitive, or more competitive than I expected, showing from ETE, which I'm happy to commentate over, because they're a good little team. Of course, been around for a while. And they seem to be building back up to somewhere where they used to be. So yeah, all props to them. And they're doing that on the hard compound tyre, unlike FGE, who are using the medium, as Bobbitt makes a move on Bowman.
He has indeed, and Bowman has no answer for it, but he's going to try the switchback at the hairpin, not able to find the traction, and perhaps wasn't willing to take the risk into the final corner either. But that's our second change of leadership. Well, I should say third, really, but that one, those overtakes don't really tend to count, but Bowman all over the back of Bobbitt still.
Well, I've just been told in the chat by Bolera Fox that the game didn't change Rain's wing when he came in for his stop, which is amateur hour, to be honest, because you've just got to remember to stick replace wing yes on, and it's such a common glitch that I'd assume that would be something that you just do by default. So yeah, it is unfortunate that is in the game when your wing's broken and auto doesn't fix it, but you should be aware of it by now, as Placky used a lot of ERS on the exit of that hairpin. Clearly he doesn't have the pace of the top 3, and he's having to use a little bit more battery to try and close back up.
Was Rain a late sub? Yes, he was, because it was
he was
Dannon.
Actually.
Yeah. I don't think there's a correlation between that and taking out your teammate, but You know, he's more than experienced enough to not do that. But yeah, it was meant to be Dan, wasn't it? And yeah, well, he could have very easily been in the commentary box as well. I think half of FRT, as I said earlier, fancied it. Here comes Liam Bowman back, by the way. DRS wide open now. No need to use any ERS because the DRS does the job really for you as he sails past the Williams once again. Shazoo still in a terrific position. They could... well, they were on -5 points this time last season. The maths doesn't math when it comes to doing all the multiplications on the points that they could score tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar with the AEC point system, so I'm not sure where this result will propel them to. But it's surely got to be somewhere up to the upper echelons of the standings. This is it's always very good when both of your drivers are in the top positions and able to work together, as these two will be able to. Bobbert has a buffer between him and the next non-Shazoo car, which, as a driver, I can tell you, I can't overstate how much of a relief it is to look behind you and see the same car behind you as the one that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobbert's ERS is the request. We'll jump on board with him. And it's identical. So, you know, these two drivers running pretty much identically at the moment. But when it comes to the pit stop phases, they will be looking to make the jump on each other. Bowman's slightly wide there, coming out of turn number 9. It's a very tricky part of the track. You're applying the throttle while trying to make a corner, so it's a difficult traction zone, a little bit prone to spinning, running wide, and get beached on the outside curbs around here as well with your floor. Pick up some very easy warnings indeed. So, you know, drivers do have to be aware of that. Any moves? Nope, as Bobbert keeps his DRS firmly shut. Oh, but Elite Risk straight on, and he does manage to get it turned into the corner. We've got another move here as TreeRT has been attempting a move on Arch, both of whom have dropped out of the DRS of Drobble, the car in front of them. TreeRT has another opportunity here in behind at PSR Arch. Will he go to the inside here? Arch defends the middle of the circuit, but the car on the medium tyres goes down the inside. He's up into P9 unless Arch can go all the way around the outside, but I think he's too far offline to be a threat.
Yeah, good move from TreeRT, but you mentioned batteries earlier, and I went and had a scroll through basically everyone else in the top 10, and it's Elite Risk with basically a full battery. He's in the best position of anyone. Placky's used slightly more than the Bobberts and Bowman sort of level, but it's the people who have made the most moves that, funnily enough, have the least DRS, as that's Lou that's taken a very bizarre line out of the corner and lost 3 positions. I'm not sure whether there was contact with Drobble or what, but he's down to 10th, and back on the ERS front, Arch has made an amazing start, but he's used 80% of his ERS to do it. TreeRT's basically, he's going to start flashing down this straight. Drobble has a lot to use, which he's going to need to use to close back up to the top 6. And aside from that, Moo, another driver I was complimenting earlier for his great overtakes, is on 14% ERS, so he's running quite low. So I think we might tend to see, at the end of this race, we're going to start to see drivers who have conserved their battery early reap the benefits towards the end.
Yeah, and Drobble now 1.3 seconds off the back of the train. It's been broken up here by Lou's error. He's got to use a lot of ERS now, Drobble, to try and get back in the zone to be competitive in this one. A lot of locking up and a lot of smoke down into the hairpin. No surprise with the visuals on the game. We've got a move for Harv, who has cleared Riggsy with... it looks like some ease, but both SLRT drivers on the back of FRT. Harvey still. A little mistake there for Midsy. No points being scored at the moment as Halo clears Moo Moo Milk as the FG trajectory is back on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, it's SLR and an FRT sandwich down the back end of the field, which is not where either team wanted to be, I'm sure, which... yeah, it's always the worst when you go into a race with expectation to do well and you end up 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th. But of course, we're still early in the race, a lot can happen. That's an Alpine down the inside. That looked like Findium, who was very close to the back of Moo, but I think got quite a poor exit out of that hairpin, so couldn't really make anything of it. As Lou is right on the back of Arch, perhaps looking for a move in the middle sector. It would be audacious, but he's looking very, very racy on the back of the PSR, man.
Indeed he is. It's lap 8 of 28 and we're yet to see any major problems. We had no grid penalties in qualifying, we've had no safety car glitch, at the start. We've had teammates bang each other a little bit, but nothing more severe. It's been a very clean start. Oh, and Halo has had a spin. Just as I say that, doesn't manage to collect anybody there. Rejoins the circuit down in P17, which massively puts an end to his strategy. Finbob has been overtaken by Easton. Moomin Milk by Findium as the moves continue down in towards the hairpin, wheel to wheel between the AlphaTauri of Harv and Rigsy, who's trying to regain the position on the British driver. Nothing done there, as Finbob currently the driver in 14th, rounding out the points paying positions as it stands. Bowman, though, still in front. Bobberts and Elite Risks in behind.
Yeah, and Lou managed to use his 40% ERS advantage to clear Arch there, and he's now on the back of Triart, whose tyres will surely be feeling some burn. Now is generally around the time that the first drop-off on mediums tends to hit, or it might already have happened, depending on setup. So yeah, Triart will be struggling around the circuit at the moment, and that's only going to get worse until he finally decides to bail and put on some new hards. Indeed.
On board with PSR Arch, who is still on the back of Lou. Triart will want to desperately get into this train, but down to 10% on the ERS. Drobble did manage to recover, so it's not far-fetched for Triart to do the same. As he rounds turn number 10 now, the DRS detection zone lies just after the left-hander of turn 11, sort of halfway through turn 12 as well. It's cleverly designed. You can't really play games going into there. If you're behind, you're behind.
Yeah, but what's important to note about Drobble getting back into the DRS is that he used 40% of his battery to do it, and of course Triart's tyres are dying, and now everyone in front of him is being DRS slipstreamed behind Bowman, so the driver that he's really trying to outpace to get into this train is Bowman, but as I say that, he's no longer the car at the front of the train. It's Bobberts back into the lead.
Indeed. Just about missed that one, but I promise you it wasn't that dramatic, as we were watching Triart's progress and him being overtaken by BRT Lou, and Triart has come into the pit lane slightly wide on the pit entrance. No gravel there anymore, which denied Lewis Hamilton his World Championship in his debut year. From pole position, of course, in the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix. Should be hard tyres on here for Triart. Anything else, and I'll be very surprised indeed. Okay, I'm very surprised.
I'm very surprised. That is a bold strategy call to go for a two-stopper. And I was going to say that it was early for a stop, as Harv makes a move on Finbob for 13th, and that will be 13th, because I don't see Triart factoring in this race now. The double medium, and then I assume soft at the end, he's going to have a lot of pace, but he's just not going to have the track position to use it. I mean, he will emerge after these rounds of stops comfortably into the leading train, because the new mediums versus the old hards is a seismic difference. But the two stopping is going to cost him any sort of decent result here.
I'm told by FGE Rage there's rain. No, rain's in last.
Oh, no, as in
Sorry.
rain as in like, the stuff that falls from the sky.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Finbob's just had a huge slide as Rigsy goes straight back through. It was a brilliant save, and now he has to defend from the other SLRT driver of Midzi, who's got to go down the inside here. Got to be careful not to hit his teammate, but that does allow Finbob to have that slightly wider entrance and swoop straight back around the outside at the final corner. What's happened to Arch? He's in the pit lane. This is a very early stop. 10 laps only on that set of hard tyres. There must be rain.
It does rather confirm that the rain's coming, and Finbob's really slid back in this race. Bunga, more like bunga backwards, really. And he's now being overtaken by Halo into turn 2. That's a great move from Halo on dying mediums. There's small amounts of contact. Finbob trying to get the traction, loses the rear, and that's going to put Midzi right on his case, coming down to the hairpin.
You wanted a wet race, didn't you?
I did want a wet race.
We're starting to see the clouds roll in, and we're starting to maybe get one. Which is good, because the track that we raced at Qatar, no rain.
And I would now like to formally retract my queries about the FGE strategy, because that is an inspired call. I don't know if teams are going to be aware of it yet, but the delta is going to be huge. Triart will emerge here. He will have old tyres, and I don't think... No, he's not got much battery. He's only got 14%. But he now has a 3-second gap to Arch, who was, I think, 1 or 2 cars behind him in the little mini train that had broken off. and that was after only one lap extra or on the mediums. Triart could genuinely be an outside contender for the win here.
You said it, not me. Midzi has overtaken Halo, who hasn't quite followed the same footsteps as his teammate at the moment, but he's trying to fight back here using that little bit of slipstream that he had. Can he go around the outside at turn 14? There's not much room out there. Can back pinch to the curb. There's been a pinch further forward, and it's Rigsy and Harvey who's been taken out of this race. Well, they're still going here. Rigsy's still in the wall and trying to wriggle free. He has done. Into the pits comes Midzi and Finbob. For one of potentially 2 pit stops in this race. Another wide moment for Rigsy on the pit entrance as Triart sets the fastest lap of the race.
Expected, but of course the one thing that could kerfuffle his strategy is if people just stay out on their old hards and potentially risk punches, but they might try and stay out on their hards until the rain hits. Where of course he will have huge pace over them. He's 22 seconds off the lead at the moment, so he would need probably around 2 seconds a lap to get up to the top train on his new mediums, which isn't completely out of the question, but of course he hasn't got much battery to play with. And on the halve, and Rigsy, was it Rigsy or Midzi? It was one of the two. I think it was Rigsy because he's further behind.
Pit. Oh, they're both pit.
Yeah, they both pit. I watched that in full, and it was just one of those incidents where the SLR driver tried moving right to cover, and Harv wanted a bit more space left, and they just glued onto each other. So it's unfortunate. I think that is a racing incident as the ETE drivers swap around. I don't know if that's tactical or whether that's just because reasons, but Easton does have a lot more battery to play with, and he needs to now close up to the back of Findium in 9th. He went very deep at the hairpin, and that will help him no end.
The top 7 remain in a train. Lou, the outsider at the moment, but he's coming into the pit lane. Nobody else in the top 7 decided to do that, and he's off the road going into the pit lane. Why is everyone finding this pit lane so difficult? I get it, it's a corner, a 90-degree right-hander. There's loads of them in F1. Surely you can manage it. But Lou will come into the pit lane. What tyres will it be? Medium tyres. They still think, however far away the rain is, mediums will be the tyres to get them there.
Yeah, that was an interesting approach to the pit lane. I mean, generally I try to keep it on the concrete, but I mean, if there's more grip on the grass, then all power to him. Lou emerges in 15th, and crucially, 7 seconds behind, or 6.5 seconds behind Triart, who is still maintaining a decent gap to Arch. When you consider, I mean, no disrespect to Triart, but he's not considered on the level of a driver like Arch, who's probably one of the best on the game, on this platform. Arch has only caught 2/10 on pretty much the same age of tyre, or 1 lap younger tyre, in fact. So this is actually an impressive performance from Triart, no matter what happens.
I'm being begged for the gap to the leader, and apparently I'm silly, so there you go. There is the gap to the leader from Triart, who is the first pit stopper. 19 seconds, dropping now to 18.5 because we've got this battle for the lead between Liam Bowman and ESV Bobberts. Will this indicate that Bowman is going to make a pit stop here? And yes, he has done, with elite risks also following him in, but he's ran really wide and almost hit the wall. And another near miss there in the pit lane. Elite Risks getting away with it and sticks with the back of Bowman as he gets into the pit lane. But Bobbert's the one staying out here. He's going to be looking quite vulnerable.
He is, and it's bizarre to me that Shazoo have pitted their second driver first, as Bobberts is now going to lose out massively. But what I want to see is where Triart comes out in all of this, and he's ahead. He's comfortably ahead of Liam Bowman. This FGE strategy could be an absolute all-timer, because he's now got a 3-second gap to Arch, who has Bowman right on his tail with a pretty full battery. Or in fact a full battery, completely full, and he is draining. He knows that Triart is potentially, somehow, I don't know what dimension we're in, but FGE Triart is in the net lead of the race with rain on the way.
I'd like to personally offer my apologies to False Group Esports for the comments I made both at the start of this race and when your net leading driver made a pit stop to suggest it was perhaps a little bit silly. It wasn't, because we had no idea that there was rain coming. I was reading the live chat as well, and Crispy says maybe around the last 4 laps. So mediums.
Mediums to into. Oh, yeah, that throws a spanner in the works then, because I got told rain in 15, and 15 minutes that's well beyond. As Bowman easily clears Arch, the ERS difference is just huge. Who's come into the pits? That's Bobbitt's in, Zinity in, Placky and Lucas potentially. Are they going to stay out on their hards until the rain comes? I mean, Triart is now just entering the final corner as these two round turn 1. I don't know if it technically counts as turn 2. Yeah, Drobble is in as well. Harv moves up to 3rd. I mean, Harv's just got to go long here, realistically. He's almost a pit stop behind Triart, who, of course, has stopped and will dispatch him pretty easily. False Group Esports, who had them as a potential contender for the win, although Bowman is reeling in that gap. Good lord, it's come down by pretty much half in the lap that he's been on fresh mediums.
I would also like to apologise to False Group Esports for my season predictions. I did not predict there'd be rain at the end of round 2, which allowed you to get a potentially brilliant result. Sorry, I didn't see that coming. It's not something I really looked into before the season started. Elite Risks on the back of PSR Arch, who's in the train with Liam Bowman, and Liam Bowman is on the back now of TreeRT. 4 lap fresher, medium tyres. Could be a huge factor here, but TreeRT also has a little bit of traffic of FRT Harvey. Shouldn't make it too difficult. Arch really late on the brakes and almost hits the back of Elite Risks.
Rain.
They get away with it. Rain has had a spin at turn 3. Not the precipitation stuff that falls out of the sky just yet, but a driver that's had a completely... just write it off. And Bowman is ahead of TreeRT. He is through and ahead of the Czech driver and is now back in control.
That's true, and what Triart needs to do here, even though he is on older tyres and he's up against a fearsome opponent who has more battery, so he really hasn't got much to work with, all he needs to do is not do that, for goodness sake. I was going to say try and keep in the DRS, and then instead he's gone and got himself a time penalty, Bowman with a 32.4. That is 1.6 seconds quicker than Triart was on his new tyres. That is ridiculous. I mean, of course, he did have the DRS, and he has used a lot of battery. He's used 80%. But that is just seismic from Bowman, who's clearly the favourite for the race win now.
I'd like to withdraw my apology to FGE because no, I'm joking. I'm joking. that would be horrible. As clearly we've got a situation where Placky and Lucas are banking on some very imminent rain, but the sun's still out. So I think we've still got a little way to go.
Yeah, Arch is coming under fire from Smeg in the chat. I'm not really sure what for, but let's keep the language civil, please. As Elite Risk dispatches Harv before the DRS straight, which potentially could be a poor move, because Harv, he's the sort of Donny that would go for a move even if he's not racing it. But Elite Risk has just got so much more traction, it doesn't even matter. And Harv is going to have to look more in his mirrors at the PSR driver of Arch coming at him, and Bobbitt's alongside him.
Flying, absolutely flying once again. Potentially could have responded a little bit earlier, but you know, as the driver running second at the time makes a lunge on Harv.
Dear. Harv.
Might not be too happy with that one, but
yeah,
he's
that's
through.
Turning in early from Harv, I'm afraid. He turned into the corner like Bobbitt's wasn't there, and he's got to know that Bobbitt's is going to want to clear him because he's on 15 lap old hards compared to 2 lap old mediums. To Bobbitt's, he's just a brick wall that needs to getting past over. Zinity makes a move around the outside of turn 1 on Arch.
Well, this is brilliant. If he can hold it into turn 2, Arch on the inside, backs out of it. What a brilliant move from TTM, Zinity and Arch, who made that pit stop. The second earliest of everybody behind TreeRT is now also starting to feel the effects. And speaking of the latter, he has been overtaken by Elite Risks, and Bobbitt's on his tail as well to potentially go all the way around the outside at turn 7. Very quickly it will turn into the inside at turn 8. Sensational move by the wisest driver in the field by far, as he's up into P5, net P3 if those hards don't make it.
He is. Elite Risks is currently sat in what is a net P2, unless the skies are darkening. And there is still 9 seconds between Placky and Bowman. Of course, that will close. I'd say that's another 4 laps out before Bowman catches Placky, potentially 3. As Lucas and Placky actually swap round. So Lucas with Parnell Racing takes the provisional lead of the race, although that is very, very strategy dependent. The clouds are definitely darkening, though. Could this stay out strategy be the one?
It could be. We have seen so many different ideas when it comes to this.
Contact.
We've got some more ideas going on down at the hairpin as Harvey being a little bit of a nuisance. I'm not directing that at him. I'm just directing that at his strategy, as Arch is going to have to get on the ERS here. Not that he has much of it. Neither does Harv, though. So is there an opportunity awaiting into
around the
turn
outside or down the inside?
Oh.
No. Arch needs to clear him here. That was a poor move to not go for something bold there, because Harv is just a walking roadblock. And Drobble, of course, that's who Arch is really racing, and Drobble is now all over the back of him. There could be shenanigans down into this hairpin.
Could be a double switch back on here for Drobble if he can find the traction on the exit. He might at least get Harv if Arch squeezes him out. But again around the outside at turn 7. Not the first time we've seen a move here. And he does turn into the inside at turn 8. Another terrific move there in the S section. And now he's got Arch all to himself for the DRS straight. It's now really clouding over. The Chinese smog, very visible here. Harv, no, I won't talk about pollution. He's polluting the track at the moment.
Oh, rain!
It is raining.
The rain has just started. Now, what's going to matter here is how intense it is, because if it comes down and they need to box for inches in a lap, Lucas and Placky have just come out with the strategy of the ages as Zinity makes a move into 6th. Virtual safety car! Ooh. Oh, and the two, Lucas and Placky, just missed the pit lane. I'm sure that they'd have probably gone for softs. I think it might be for rain. Possibly.
Really?
He's losing a lot of time. He's missing a front wing, so I would say it's probably rain. Elite risks in the box. Elite risks in the box. For
he
what?
Is in the box.
Is this for Inters? It surely can't be Inters straight away. What have they got ready down at the Gulf Williams team pit lane? It is Inters.
They look green.
Inters, they're green.
They're definitely green.
Harv will approve of those tyre colours. They are green.
Oh, the half jokes. They've got to stop. But it is a virtual safety car, nothing more. And I thought you meant rain falling. No, rain has no front wing. So I was being silly on that one. But PR Lucas, Parnell Racing Lucas, if he's got away with this, has Placky got away with this as well?
Yeah, both of them may have just made a huge strategy call. I'm still not sold on the Inters call, because the rain it looks fairly strong visually, but the track doesn't have that glisten that it has when you know it's changed.
Correct.
It's definitely changing. As I've just watched Harv lock up under safety car. Well done. Yeah, let's take a quick head count as DRS is enabled and the race gets going again. Bobbert's now 2.5 and Rain retires in the pit lane, and to be honest, I can understand that because it's been a torrid day for him. As Halo and Midsey swap places going onto the DRS straight, Bobbert's 2.5 behind Bowman, and that was 3 seconds. So I think Bobbert's will be looking to take advantage of this period where he has the fresher tyres on a greasy track to potentially close back.
Lucas is pitting. Lucas is pitting Chelsea. The race leader is in. Placky stays out, as does Bowman and the other medium runners as well. This is a gamble from PR Lucas, who thinks the track is ready for intermediates. But if he makes that call now and it wettens enough halfway around the lap, then he still could get it right.
They're quicker. They are definitely quicker, because Elite Risk has just had a rancid line through the hairpin, and he's still gained time to the leader of Placky, though of course Placky is on 20 lap old hard, so perhaps that's not the best comparison. But let me bring up tyres again. Who is where? I think Elite Risks is the leader, or Lucas is the leader of the Inters runners, because even though Elite Risk stopped under that VSC, Lucas had enough of a gap to come out in the lead, and now on 1 lap fresher Inters.
He does indeed. 22.8, the gap to the leader. Watch it. Keep watching it as we progress around the lap. I think it's equal, if not quicker, as is evident from the traction zone at turn 6.
I think Bowman is catching Placky as quickly as Lucas is catching him at the moment, so I'd say they're pretty much equal. But still, as Lucas was comfortably clear of everyone, I think this could be an elite Parnell racing strategy. Their engineer, Zach F1, I did once slag him off on Twitter for being a squeaker when he engineers, but fair play, you might have just got the strategy nailed on.
Absolutely. Placky, does he respond on this lap? He's locked up, going into the hairpin run slightly wide, keeps it on the circuit. They've got to respond, surely. Surely they've got to respond. Placky does go straight into the pit lane. Bowman stays out. He's not going to hang it out, is he? He's not going to hang it out for another lap. ESV Bobberts does exactly the same thing. 19 seconds, the gap to the leader now for PR Lucas. Of course, that leader being Liam Bowman. The track's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't gone to a completely Inter's track yet, so I can understand why Bowman, Bobberts and co are staying out. But I do think the Inters are quicker now. I think this is a mistaken strategy. Of course, they want to make use of their fresher tyres, but I just don't think this is the strategy for them. As Lou, Finn, Bob, BRT are double stacking, and they've made it work fairly successfully. Harv somehow is now 10th. I'm not really sure how that's happened, with 5 cars ahead of him on Inters. So Bolera Fox, give yourself a pat on the back for a great strategy, because he's turned a complete disaster for FRT, if we're being completely honest, into potentially a salvageable result. Although he has got Moo right behind him with 20% more ERS. Moo, of course, an ex-FRT driver, and in his last race, he straight-lined someone. So, you know, this could potentially be chaotic.
Absolutely. PR Lucas, 18.6 now. It's not been too much of a gain on this lap, and there will be life taken out of those intermediate tyres. I don't think this is over yet, but we're starting to see that sheen on the circuit that does sort of indicate the track is ready almost for intermediate tyres. We've got a great scrap for the lower echelons of the points at the moment. FRT Harvey leading this small train. Rear lock up from Moo Milk, who's managed to keep it going. He's got Findiyum on his tail, who I do believe retired from last week's race. He is now on course, though, to be scoring some points tonight, as we've got our top 3, top 4 into the pit lane.
We do, and Rage has just made the great point in the chat. You mean give Rain a round of applause for the VSC that helped his teammate? You make a good point, and I didn't really think of that. So, yep, fair enough. Is there some Spygate going on? No, it's not Spygate. Crashgate. I don't know about Crashgate, because Bolera Fox is a truly honest man. So, yeah, I doubt he'd want to win like that. Rigsy has stayed out on medium tyres when it is quite clearly a greasy track, so he is going to be a rolling roadblock until he chooses to come in. You'd think at the end of this lap.
Well, I'll give him some screen time, because this is going to be absolute hell on this lap. I've been told to check the general. I don't know if this is a matter of urgency.
They'll do it. I'll let you know. I assume that means the general, not the AEC.
The general.
It's nothing of too much importance, but you can have a look at it after the race.
My God. First of all, I don't wear glasses. Second of all, I had the face cam on earlier by mistake. I can put it on for the end of the race if you like, but I don't really want to be doing that. But by the way, less of the general chat, more on a genuine battle for the lead now, because DRS is still enabled, and this gives Placky the opportunity to slipstream Lucas, to pull to the outside, but Lucas is very much going to be defending here because they want the track position for when the DRS disables. Lucas gives Placky that nudge, rude. Almost off the track. Was he within the white lines, and thus was it legal? Lucas stays ahead, maintains the lead. Bowman's closed in a couple seconds. On this lap alone, we've got 6 to go as we cross the line, with Placky still trying to fight back, but he's out of ERS entirely. Lucas has that little bit more to defend. Rigsy now into the pit lane.
Round the outside, Placky into turn 2. What a move this would be! Good lord! That is incredible, Placky. He's often been someone who's got stuck in races and not made overtakes, but that is sensational. Into P1, and Cobb points it out in the live chat. Bowman has made up so much time, and Bobberts is making up time even on him. I think fresher Inters may well be the right play here, because of course on the drier track Inters will be overheating, and now those tyres will still be too hot. Elite risks, I reckon his tyres are completely done. A DRS is now disabled as Lou makes a move on Drobble for 8th.
Yeah, you'd be stupid to be on slicks. Fortunately, nobody is. Good move there from BRT Lou. And you can just see how the drivers that have pitted earlier, it was a good gamble by Lucas, but he had the track position to, you know, stay out, to actually go when he needed to go instead of taking a gamble. He might have actually lost more from doing that. But here comes Liam Bowman pulling to the right-hand side. Got to get back into the slipstream to try and give Lucas a race here. But Lucas, defending with the more ERS he has, pulls to the inside to try and defend from Liam Bowman, who sends one anyway. To the inside, he's locked the rears. And there's a little bit of contact, and he's almost taken Lucas off the track as well, in a very similar manner to what Lucas did on Placky just a lap ago. Now 5 laps remaining as PSR Placky, our race leader, crosses the line with Liam Bowman, now the man in second place, has closed a 4-second gap to a 1-second gap.
Yeah, and Bobberts is coming. That gap to Bobberts is coming in. We've got 4 cars converging on each other, and you have to say the worst off here, by the looks of it, is Lucas, who took a brave gamble. It has to be respected for that, but it looks like it might be backfiring as Adam Roberts, ESV Bobberts, closes in. Findium is out. Where's that? That's in the pit lane. So I'd assume there's damage, potentially. I didn't see if he span or anything.
I didn't see either, but just last week he did the same thing and retiring in the pit lane as well. So, I don't know, TTM want drivers like that?
Yep.
But
we've got a radio from Smeggy saying that Elite Risk tyres are cooked, which I can understand because he boxed when it was basically dry. So that doesn't surprise me at all, as we've got a slow Haas in the first sector of Halo down in 16th. He won't be scoring any points. The other Haas, though, on fresh tyres, Triart, of course, does carry that 3-second penalty, but that currently he'll still stay 7th, and with Elite Risk tyres being, in Smeggy's words, cooked, that he could potentially pull the 3 seconds needed to get P6 here, and even though it potentially could have been more, that's still a very solid return for FGE. As Bowman closes on Placky.
That Half could be on for a puncture. And if Half's on for a puncture, Drobble could be on for a puncture. Moomimilk could be on for a puncture. There is contact. A slight slide for PSR Placky into the hairpin. Reports of tyre wear seeming extreme, and I like that, because on this year's game, if you go too early, you're going to burn out the tyres. I like that simulation. Here comes Bobberts. Now has an ideal position to chase down the top 2, but Lucas is going to try hanging down the inside. Bobberts has run really wide. Lucas sort of scaring him with the amount of inside curb he took there.
Switch
back through goes Lucas.
That's a punterino.
Possible
Bobberts got
bump and
right
run
up Lucas's backside there, and now he's going to get better traction, you'd think, coming round the sweeper in towards the hairpin. Oh, he's right out on the curb. That's very close. Bobberts surely has got to send it here. Down the outside line, yep, he's going to go for it. Potentially a switch back on. Lucas runs wide. Bobberts will have the better exit. Now they're going to go side by side in the wet into the sweepers. I wouldn't really advise that, and they don't. Bobberts backs out. Oh, no, he doesn't. He was looking for a move, but Lucas blocked it off well.
I've been asked thoughts on us getting fumbled by Wimbledon. I don't know who us is.
Jeez.
So I'm
no,
afraid
that's Chelsea. Oh Christ! What's
is it?
Moser, what's the score? You could do me up a solid there. Elite.
Okay.
By the way, Elite risks his pit. His tyres must have been so poor, because I don't understand that decision at all. And 58%. That guarantees 58%. Wow, that's mental. In 5 laps, that is ridiculous. And that's basically guaranteed Triart. That's guaranteed Triart 6th. So well in from Triart. That's great strategy and good execution as well.
Is Lucas in trouble? Is Drobble in trouble? Is Harvey in trouble? There could be so many changes to the points paying positions here. If you can invite Easton back, that would be fantastic, because that seems like a disconnect. ETE looking for a double point scoring finish, but again also looking a little bit precarious in terms of tyres. Liam Bowman versus PSR Placky for victory with 3 laps remaining. ESV Bobberts is trying to go the long way round once again, but again fantastic defending from PR Lucas, who is desperate to stay on the podium. They lost 1 driver within 2 laps of this race thanks to a reoccurring throttle issue for PR Jack L. Lucas is doing everything now. Took that gamble, perhaps admittedly got it wrong, and just has to stay out there and has to do the defending. But here comes Bobbitt's down the inside. An awful camera angle given, but Bobbitt has squeezed through with a little bit of contact with PR Lucas, who is still trying to hold the inside going into turn 7. A never-ending battle between the two, and it's PR Lucas back in front.
I think Bobbitt might have let him go there because he was well off the throttle going into those sweepers, so perhaps showed a little bit of sportsmanship, which, to be honest, is few and far between in the league racing community, and perhaps it's telling that it's one of the wiser and older heads that's displayed it, as Bowman is all over the back of Placky, only 2.5 laps to go, basically. He's got 3 shots left at a conventional overtake, all into the hairpin, as Placky gets very loose. Wow. Bowman is on the battery. This could get close.
It could indeed in the slipstream. Liam Bowman, no more DRS, but he pulls to the left-hand side. He's got to make it stick now around the outside. He's committed to this move, Liam Bowman. He's late on the brakes, but Placky goes with him. Another rear lock from the Dutch driver. Bowman manages to stay on the track. PR Lucas and ESV Bobbitt still going at it, but they're still side by side for the race lead with Liam Bowman down the inside. Placky has to run wide, rejoins the circuit, still alongside Liam Bowman, and now back in the slipstream to potentially re-overtake the Scottish driver. It will have to be around the outside at turn 1, potentially make a cut back and send a lunge into turn 2, but no, he hasn't quite got that. PSR Placky, Liam Bowman leads with 2 laps to go. PR Lucas is still holding on, and there's yet more contact between him and ESV Bobbitt, but finally Bobbitt has got his car in front.
He has, and down at the hairpin there was more contact. Lucas got shoved onto the curb and slid round the corner. It's amazing that he even managed to keep this fight going. He's going to get run out wide there again, and now Zinity has emerged from nowhere. Someone pointed out in the chat, Zinity having a quietly very, very good race, and that's true. He's up into 5th for TTM, who I think were predicted 9th by everybody in that predictions video of yours. Yeah, it's very impressive. Well, you featured in it.
Well, I did feature in it.
You're a bigger YouTuber than Bolero Fox, so it's technically yours.
The sub counts. I think it'll catch up.
The sub counts.
We need a sub race, but I think everybody would now favour Noah. I mean, we do very different content. That's fine. Let's less of the sub battles and more on this man TTM Zinity, because he's hardly been in a battle or a race. He's been in that train, made the right call in terms of intermediates, left it until the track was just wet enough, and now is up to P4.
Dive bomb.
But Lucas, wow, Zinity was almost at a standstill.
He was doing about 20 Ks. That was incredible. And someone pointed out in the chat that why isn't Finbob overtaking? He's making the move now. Harvey covers the inside, but Finbob will get better traction. There's wheel banging galore. Oh, that's a little bit rude from Harv. They run wheel to wheel into the final corner. Finbob a little bit deep. Harv will get the better exit, but he is on the older tyres, which will surely be burning because he pitted the same lap as Elite Risks. They've got to be on at least 70% wear now heading onto the final lap of the race. Harv round the outside into turn 1. Is he going to make the move stick? I don't think so. I think Finbob's got that one held.
Well, it's the final lap now, and Liam Bowman has pulled a 1.1 second gap. PR Lucas remains ahead of TTM Zinity, following a lunge on the driver. And we've got very mixed opinions in the live chat. Good racecraft, poor racecraft. In my opinion, he's not put a foot wrong, to be fair to Lucas. And he's had to be aggressive. He's had to get his elbows out. And we see a lot of drivers do that. And we see a lot of drivers overstep the mark, but PR Lucas, in my opinion, has got this one spot on today. Does Liam Bowman have the fastest lap? I believe he did put a lot of time on... it was Triarty at the time. Here comes Inity down the inside at turn number 12. They'll come around turn 13 now, completing the 270-degree section, and still he's in front is PR Lucas, but heading down now in towards the hairpin. Liam Bowman has a 1.2 second lead. We await the battle for P4 and we'll receive Bowman in just a moment. Here comes TTM Zinity. It's now or never, but again Lucas holds the inside, and again he's going to hold the position. Fantastic defending all round, but here comes Liam Bowman around the the final corner. 2 from 2 in AEC Tier S. Liam Bowman takes victory once again and extends NVR's advantage at the top of the championship with PSR Placky in second, ESV Bobberts taking Shazoo's first podium of the season. PR Lucas holds on to fourth with Zinity in fifth. A fantastic result for False Group Esports' Trey RT and Lou Drobble, Finbob, Harvey, Arch, Easton all round out the points.
Yeah, good race. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a little bit of rain drama, and we certainly got it. And I'm surprised that Drobble and Harv, considering that Elite Risks felt the need to pit, they hung on their inters, which must surely have been... I mean, I'd love to know if someone could tell me in the chat what they were on. But those tyres must have been finished by the end of the race. Standout performer for me, Triart, up in sixth, is a notable shout. Lucas did well to hang on. People criticised him in the chat for potentially robust defending, and some of it was a little bit questionable. But no, it's racing in the rain. You do get dive bombs and you just slide the car sometimes. There was nothing malicious. I think the stewards won't have any interest in anything. But yeah, good race, and Bowman, as expected, won, but he had to make the move on track.
TTM Zinity is the first message, well, the second message after Elite Risks, who's asking about the tyre wear, but Zinity has said, at PR Lucas, GG. That's the respect you want to see. I think that was a brilliant race in terms of driving standards. You know, often we've lacked them, but tonight was a good night for AEC. And for Liam Bowman, who has scored 62 points from a possible 62. That is insane.
Yes, he has. And honestly, he's probably one of the biggest emerging talents on console. He finished second yesterday in World with a very fine performance, racing against names from across platforms. No more or less than I'd expect at this point. Yeah, he did get the fastest lap in the end, and I'll let you round out the finishing positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam Bowman from pole to victory with the fastest lap as well. Wasn't quite a Grand Chelem for leading every lap, but it will very much do for NVR. PSR Placky in second, just dropped a little bit of pace at the end from third on the grid, finishes second. Bobberts from second on the grid, finishes third. PR Lucas, one of the outstanding drivers in that race, alongside Zinity from 9th on the grid, finishes 5th. Trey RT from 16th finishes 6th, with Lou, Drobble, Finbob and Harvey all in the top 10. Harvey making an important recovery, and then Arch, Easton, Moo Milk and Elite Risks in the points there as well, following some penalties. You're going mental. What's happened?
Enzo Fernandez has scored his first goal for Chelsea Football Club, and I couldn't be more delighted. It may be against AFC Wimbledon, but I don't care. £105 million well repaid.
Well, hang on a minute.
Off the race.
You were criticising Cesare Casadei for assisting against Tranmere. So where do you draw the line here?
I draw the line at bias. It's just complete bias.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. I'll leave you with the calendar for just a moment, because next week, strap yourselves in, we go to Australia. Whether I'm looking forward to that, I don't know, because I don't think I've seen a clean race at Australia ever. So, if that's anything to go by, we might be in for a different outcome to tonight. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure, Chelsea. I have to say, you were brilliant, considering, you know, you just decided half an hour before that you would do it. So it's a big help to all of us, because when you have 2 or 3 people that say they can and they don't, it does mean a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to commentate it, to be honest. I had my appetite whetted by my commentary appearance in Jim's cooking series, and yeah, it was good to get in the co-com box tonight with you. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Indeed, and I'm actually going to round off the stream, but as requested, we'll go on the face cam, guys. But yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good night. Bye bye.